Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Indie Film Cafe. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. I'm here with my co-host,
Paul Presenza, otherwise known as the Moo Cow Moo.
and we have a very special guest. Please introduce yourself, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Shannon Adkins. How are you?
Good. We're really happy to have you here, Shannon.
Yay.
Shannon was on 31 Days of Indie Horror with me, and we had such a fun time discussing, what was Six Wheels from Hell or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what it was called. It
Oh
was
dear.
terrible. It was terrible, but it was fun terrible at times. I enjoyed watching it. Well, it's not as. I mean, it's. I think it was a little bit more fun than this movie that we're going to be talking about here, which is a movie I suggested to Shannon, and I did not realize Shannon likes these kind of movies, these like disaster, nature run amok movies.
Mhm.
But it is Ice Twisters. It's basically a made for sci-fi movie, and if you've seen one, you've probably seen them all, kind of thing. We're gonna get into that, and
Sounds like a frozen beverage you'd get at a bar.
It does.
they should make that. If that's not a thing, they should definitely make that at a bar.
Yeah.
I won't partake, but I'd be okay with telling people to go get some to endorse it, you know.
Can't
But
rate it any better than that.
yeah, exactly. All right, but we'll be right back after we listen to some
Moo
mood music.
music.
And we are back. And so I think it was all of our first time watching this because I had
Oh
never
yeah.
seen it. I just
Oh yeah.
I just picked it out of a hat. I had no idea, but I knew it had to be like sci-fi like. So I was not sure. And I'm kind of mad because it was between this and another tornado one, and I wish we had gone with the other tornado one, which was Fire Nado. I'll save
Oh.
that for another day. That one just sounds terrible. But Ice Twister sounded, I don't know, fun. And this will come out in February, so kind of perfect time for ice stuff, and
It's kind of a
everything.
shame because there was a movie called Ice Spiders, and we were just talking about Lavalantula.
That's true. There's
Oh
ice
yeah.
spiders.
I have
But
heard of ice spiders. I haven't seen it. I don't do spiders. I don't like spiders.
oh, so if I had suggested one with spiders, you would have said no.
I wouldn't have said no, but it's not one that I would have picked.
All right. So first of all, Shannon, what were your first thoughts on it?
I really liked the concept of it. I feel like it had potential. It could have gone a little further than what it did. I thought the CGI was over the top. Couple of scenes with the green screen, you definitely can tell that they're using green screen. So, all in all, I don't know. I thought the cinematography was really good, especially in the beginning. I thought the scenery was really, really beautiful.
Okay, not bad. What about you, Paul?
I thought I was dumb as a box of rocks. I thought the writing was really bad. Some of the dialogue was just, I just couldn't believe human beings spoke like that. Um, yeah, the special effects were pretty cheesy. It was pretty. Apparently, this was shot in Canada, although it's trying to masquerade as Portland, Oregon. But yeah, it's just dumb. It's none of that can happen. I mean, I understand the concept of science fiction is you take something that's scientifically viable and you go a couple of steps away and say, well, maybe this can happen, this can happen. This isn't a couple steps. This is like massive jumps of reality here. And
Yeah.
it's unfortunate because, this is exactly the kind of stuff that people who think that the government is controlling the weather are going to point to and say, oh, you see, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, no, ridiculous.
It's a science fiction movie, like it's not meant it shouldn't be meant to be taken seriously.
Right, but there should be some basis of reality, though. I mean, it's
I think
it's almost on a cartoon level.
I think it should have been more silly, kind of like we're discussing Lava Lantula. I think it should have been more
More
silly.
humor would have definitely helped.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I think it was very straight and serious, and I was kind of a little bummed out about that. I thought that that might be, I don't know.
What would have been funny is I kept wanting every time somebody was going to get caught in one of the little ice storm things that they would turn into snowmen, like, the three balls of snow. That would be fun.
That would
And
have
they would
been
be snowman zombies.
no
Snowman
snowman.
zombies. There you go.
There's
That's
there's a title right there. I'd watch that. Snowmen of the Living Dead.
Right. With
That
like
would
the
be,
carrot nose and coal eyes.
and they go around just like, well, isn't that like Jack Frost? Isn't technically Jack Frost
Well, but he wasn't a zombie. He was just a possessed snowman with the spirit of an evil serial
yeah, that's
killer.
true. He's Chucky. Chucky is a
Yeah.
snowman.
Or Ginger Dead Man.
Ginger Dead Man, yeah. So all those kind of silly ideas. Yeah, I kind of agree. Um, the I don't know. It got so I guess the one thing I was kind of disappointed about is this was directed by Stephen R. Monroe,
Yep.
who did the movie It Waits,
Yep.
which I actually thought was pretty good.
It was
And
pretty good.
he's done some pretty good movies. I have a feeling this was just a paycheck to him.
Oh, yeah.
Like he did a good job with the direction of the movie, right? Like all the directing, telling people what to do, where to go, how to do everything. You know what I mean?
He
But
also did the I Spit on Your Grave remake.
I didn't watch it, but
One and
I've
two.
heard
Yeah, I didn't either, but that,
I've
yeah.
heard good. I've heard actually good things about it, but I just never watched it because I don't even think I saw the first one. Just not my rape revenge films are not my cup of tea,
Yeah.
And so I find like I did my Last House on the Left for some reason, but I don't know. It's just
I mean, the original's okay. It's not as horrific as people say it is, and it's not as good as people say it is, but it's not that bad either. It's all right.
And the only other reason I picked this movie is because Shalon Simmons is in it, and she's in my background over there. And she
Yeah.
was the best part, honestly. Like I wish she was in it more and longer. I have the hugest crush on her. I met her in person. We at a horror convention, and she was the sweetest person in the world. Like I was talking to Lachlan Monroe for a little bit, and he's from like Scary Movie and White Chicks and stuff like that. But I was talking to him for a little bit, and she was next to him, so she would come in on the conversations with us, and I thought that was so like it was just made my day. I was like, oh my god, I'm a fan of yours, and you're like hanging out here talking to us, that kind of thing. So
She
I always
was
look
the
for it.
she was the daughter that gets killed, and Mark Moses is kind of like doesn't
Well,
really say much.
it
Doesn't really
wasn't
do
daughter.
much.
I thought she was his assistant.
No, it turns out it's his daughter.
Oh, that makes it more sense why he like really had a bad, time when he came to see her. I thought that was literally just his assistant. But that actually now that makes a little bit more sense. I don't know why he wouldn't go to the hospital if that was his daughter.
Right.
I mean, he talks about that too. Like I should have gone to the hospital. Yeah, yeah. I mean, what are you supposed to be doing? I guess he at the end saves the day, so of course that's why he's there. You
Well,
know.
and that's kind of the main problem I have with this movie is that he is such a smug, crappy, jerky character. I just couldn't stand him.
He is in everything that he's in.
But I like the actor. I love the actor. He's one of my favorite actors.
Really? I
Yeah.
don't even know this guy.
Dude,
What
he's
else
from
has he been in?
Platoon, man.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah. He plays the lieutenant who's in charge when Elias and Barnes are fighting and the squad destroys that one village and Willem Dafoe's like, Lieutenant, why don't you stop him? He's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Elias. He's that guy.
Wow. So you liked him normally, but
Oh
I guess
yeah.
you just don't like him in this movie.
Oof, no.
Yeah.
He was
I don't think
way
there's
too
anybody that you could really like in this movie just because of the way it's written.
Thank
Mhm.
you. That's a great point.
Yeah, I think all the characters kind of bicker a lot, which is a thing Paul hates. When people are just sitting around bickering instead of like there's a tornado heading toward you. I'm gonna bicker for a while so that it's suspenseful. for us to try to get out of the way instead of the normal situation of like, hey, let's stop bickering and get the out of here, like a
Hmm.
normal person would
Right,
do.
because it doesn't add to suspense. All it does is it pads the film out, is what it does.
Right. Yeah. A lot of yeah, because I guarantee you a lot of times a lot of these scripts they'll be like, oh, we need more talking right here, and it doesn't make any sense because they need the more talking to pad out the film. I know the writer of this did more
Ghost
tornado
Shark.
movies.
He did Ghost Shark.
Well, that's funny because he called this like Ghost Tornado or whatever at one point
That's
in the
funny.
movie, right? Because they say it's like it's a ghost storm or something.
He
And I was like,
also
was that the original title? Because that is awesome.
he
That would
also
have
did
been.
Arachnoquake, which I have not seen, but it sounds like one I should.
We did that for 31 Days of Indie Horror with Morgan
Oh yeah.
Tyler, and it was okay. It was very it wasn't as fun as Lavalantula, let's just say that. Like it had the opportunity to be more fun because it was about an earthquake opening up and a bunch of these, big ass spiders come after, but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
it's funny. Lavalantula was able to walk a line that most of these movies can't, in that, there's suspense and everything, but there's also a fun sense of humor and fun that was in that most of these movies, including this one, just kind of lacked, you know?
Right.
This one was a lot of fun,
But the
you know?
writer also did Metal Tornado, Ice Twisters, Storm in the Heartland, Toxic Skies. I mean,
Yeah. It's a lot of
um,
formulaic disaster stuff.
you
Yeah.
know, and I think that's the thing. I think that's why they hired him because they're like, hey,
Yeah.
you did these.
So, Shannon, can I follow up on your point with regards to the characters being unlikable? What else did
Yes.
you notice about them?
They were very over the top with the dialogue that they were trying to read, trying to make sure that everything was very correct in what they were saying. Um, there's not one single person in here that I liked. I honestly can say that. There's just not one. I
I
thought
like
that
the
maybe the
daughter,
guy,
but that's it. I thought she was sweet. She tried to get him to do his job, or whatever, when all he wanted to do was go back on the field, or whatever, that kind of thing. But yeah, I agree with you. Everybody else, I just absolutely didn't care for.
Yeah, but I don't know that that's necessarily the actor's fault. I thought all the actors were okay. I just don't know that they were given very much. I mean, Camille Sullivan might have been the best out of the group. I remember her from Sea Beast, and I know she's been in a bunch of other things too, because I've seen her in other stuff too. I just don't remember exactly. So I've seen her before. She usually puts on a pretty decent job. But, let's face it, there's not a lot of great performances that could have saved this from the writing.
mm-mm.
Also, I kind
I
of didn't like
wanted more
the.
comedy
Oh, go ahead,
out of the
Shannon.
guys.
That's true. I think there was a lot more comedy from the dudes than there was from the girls,
Yeah, but the
unfortunately.
comedy was like he kept bitching at the chick. Oh, you have to go to the bathroom? Here, use this cup. Here, use this cup. Do you have to go? Here's a cup.
Oh yeah, I didn't like either one of them. I wanted more comedy out of the guys in the tent, like the two guys that are like doing the data and all that stuff.
Oh,
Like
Phil and Gary.
I want, kind of like Twisters, like you had the tech guys and all that, and they had the comedy. I wanted more out of those two. I thought that that's what they were going to bring, and
Yeah,
it didn't happen.
And did you
well,
know that notice that the lead actress's name was Joe, just like the character in
Yes, yes,
Twister?
it did.
that's funny. I didn't even pick that up. But yeah, you're right. Because and it is called Ice Twisters, so they're obviously doing that. But those neither of those guys are anywhere close to Philip Seymour Hoffman as an
Oh,
actor.
no, no.
So
But
they,
at least they didn't do the fundamental error that I was afraid was going to happen any second, where they were going to freeze a poor cow and then have it swing around and like clobber
Yes,
somebody.
yeah.
I know, Paul, you love your cows, but don't you get excited whenever you see the cows? Come on. Like even if they're
Yeah,
just
look,
flying through the air, because it's a CGI cow. It's not a real cow. They're not gonna do anything to a poor real cow, except eat it,
Still,
make hamburgers, but that's it. But anyway, I loved, like, I don't know, I did love sort of the relationship between the two guys. Unfortunately, the one guy died the in the tent and everything. I thought they almost kind of had like a little Abbott and Costello thing going for them, and I kind of wish that dude had. I wish that guy had survived longer, and the other douchebag, the guy that was like, I forgot his name, Frank or something. Was it not? Or was Frank the other guy? Frank was
Frank
the
the suit,
boss.
the government suit guy,
Yeah, what was the kind
the
of the
government oversight society,
Damon?
something
I didn't like
stupid.
Damon, and Damon just, it became like he was just the guy that had to be the go-to through everybody. So like he went to the government guy said, no, you can't, I'm not shutting this project down. You can tell her that, whatever. And then
Yeah, he's the one that gets killed by hail balls.
yeah, which is a little weird because like nobody else got hit by hail,
No.
but
Nor can hail do that. I don't care how fast they are. It's just not possible.
hail hurts, but it won't kill you. I don't think. I've never heard of anybody actually getting killed by hail. You know, what would that be like, getting hailed on?
Yeah,
Hailed
hail
to death.
Bukaki.
Hailed to death. I don't know. But yeah, that was, I didn't like him much. Like I just felt like he was there to be to bicker with everybody and
Mhm.
to do that. And it just got kind of annoying. Like I'm like, dude, you're in the way of your own project. Like, like
Yeah, there were
uh
a few too many characters. Certainly the two kids, quote unquote, they seemed very unnecessary.
No,
Yeah.
no, they're absolutely unnecessary. I mean, their original plan was to get a all day interview, I guess, with him. And then at the end, he was like, "Oh, do you want an all day interview? I think I got something better." And I was like, "How is that better?" Like they're taking a video of like another storm that was happening. Like, did they try this experiment again? Like, what is going on at the end? I didn't even
Mm-mm.
understand
There's no
what.
explanation.
Yeah, it made no sense. It was like, I thought it was gonna be like a year later or something, and they were gonna say, "Hey, did you still want to get that interview? Have interview her pregnant, or something,
Oh
something that,
God.
because obviously they were gonna end up together at the end or whatever. They ended up together at the end. Moses and I'm gonna call him Moses from now on because that's his last name, but like, you know,
But he's
he didn't.
so lovable. My goodness.
Well, he was not supposed to be, right? Because like his character was hated by like everybody, apparently. Like because
Did a good job with that.
he wrote like science fiction that made people pissed off, apparently. Made that one guy pissed off because he said, you stole my idea. And then we never go into that. It was just sort of
Mm-mm.
Well,
like
ideas really can't be stolen unless they're copyrighted and protected.
right, unless they're copyright and protected, but they can't be stolen if, like, I thought there was going to be something where he said, I sent you my idea and then you took it,
That would
that
make
kind
more
of thing.
sense.
Right? But no, he doesn't even say anything like that. He just kind of says, you stole my idea, you stole my idea. Yeah. And then the
As
other
if to
guys,
say, I had the same thought, but you got yours published first.
right, which is not
That's
his
not
fault.
stealing. Yeah, right.
James Gunn mentioned in an interview I watched from a while back that he had the same idea as Click, like a similar idea, and then Click went first,
Mhm.
right? Click got it made first, and so he had to just go, well, that sucks, but I mean, that's the thing about ideas is ideas pop in your head, and if you don't get it out before somebody else makes that movie,
Right.
you're
And nobody's
screwed.
going to run around and ask everybody else's permission if he can, write
Yeah.
his story. I mean, that's just silly.
Well, and it's not like the guy, he never met the dude. So it's not even like he even knew who this guy was, or
No.
whatever. So
It's just the writer's, crappy attempt to sort of create tension
tension.
between those characters that
Yeah.
because it needs it, even though it was
They had to
bullshit.
make it so that everybody hated him. Every single person involved in this had a problem with him.
Even his daughter was mad at him,
Right.
you
And
know.
that's just it. The funny thing is they didn't have to invent all that stuff. He was just, the way he was written was so annoying and so smug that they should just let him go. And, that would
Hmm.
have done
Yeah.
it.
Or maybe everybody liked him at first and then all of a sudden realized how what a douche he was and then, whatever, right? Like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan of you. And he's like, fuck you, I don't care.
All you have
You
to do
know.
is tear a hole in the ozone layer. And
Right.
what? Oh, that's all. Well, fortunately, the university has a machine that does just that. What a great coincidence.
That pissed me off because I was like, really? Like, this is how you're wrapping it up this quickly? Is like, like all of a sudden they can shoot these like lightning bolts into the universe and then it just like stops the storms or some shit. I
Yeah, it's
don't.
like it goes to the satellite, and then the satellite is shooting something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing's ever explained, which is probably usually a good thing, right? Because over explanation makes the moo cow here go, head
Well,
turn,
it's also easy because you don't have to actually come up with something that's possibly viable. You can just ignore it.
you could just say, yeah, yeah, you could just not say anything. And then people might wonder, like us, we wonder what's going on here? Why is this,
Well, this is typically done just as sort of mindless entertainment, and you're supposed to enjoy the action parts of it, not so much the science parts of it. So,
That's true. I mean, just like we did with Collision of Earth, that movie made no sense whatsoever either. But did it really matter in the realm of like watching it on sci-fi? I mean,
the
you look
thing
at
is,
Letterboxd,
is
yeah.
usually you have someone very likable as the lead, or at least a pretty young
Hmm.
woman, something to sort of dangle as bait for the viewer for them to latch onto. Instead, they have an older guy who's just sort of a grumpy pain in the ass. So that's sort of problematic right there. I mean, I kind of like the idea of that because it's generally not done, but it's generally not done for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I feel like all these movies are the same in the aspect of like the guy that's behind you, John.
Mm.
Uh, the scenes of the person standing and waiting to get hit by a car that's coming out of the sky,
Mhm.
or the tower that falls down on top of the other guy. Like there's this every single one of these movies, everybody's just like just
I
waiting for
mean,
it to happen. Why are you not running?
I agree. I'm usually the person like, oh, I just did a video about found footage films and stuff, and my biggest complaint was like, why do they always videotape what's coming after them while they're running? Just run, it slows
There's
you
just no
down
other
when
way
you're
to get the
videotaping.
footage.
Right. That's the real reason. That's the cinematic reason is because they want you to see the thing coming after them. So that's why they do it. In real life, you drop the camera and you run. A
Yeah.
camera's gonna slow you fucking down unless it's well, you might not throw was it a cell phone, right? But you put that shit in your pocket and run. You don't hold it in your hand while you run because you could drop it and B, so it pisses me off. So when things like that, when people are just standing there going, oh, there's a car coming at me, right? It's cool to look at because as us, we're going, oh, that guy's gonna get hit by a car. Awesome. And then we don't see
Why
any of
is
it.
that awesome?
Sci-fi.
I know for once I want to see the guy not get hit by the car. Like I want to see you run and get away.
Or duck, and all of a sudden it goes right over your head.
Mm.
Ah, that could be cool. Like, but they wouldn't do
And
that to that character because that the character that's behind me is a douchebag. So
and
they
I had to
won't
notice
do
there
it.
were a number of continuity errors.
That's
Um,
continuity monkey that you
right.
just squeaked.
So, for example, when that very first storm hits and all the wind is blowing everything and it blows that car, you notice there was no rain. And yet when
Yes.
they go back, there's all these puddles.
Yes.
So that's number one.
Hmm.
Second was the train wreck, where everything is frozen except there are these little tiny itty bitty little flames of something burning for no reason. No
Hmm.
reason whatsoever. It's like, okay, well, there's a tiny little flame on this log. We don't know why, but
Hmm.
it is. That was ridiculous too. And then, oh yeah, and then when the farmer dies and he just freezes and he's dead, but all the grass is nice and green. That's
Yeah.
would have died too.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of issues like that, but once again, you kind of said it before, Paul, that that's that's because the writing isn't there for the real stuff. It's
It's
for the
fancy.
action. Yeah. I mean, they don't care about people like you, Paul, who are gonna might probably never watch this movie unless you have to review it on here because the formula. The formula is it starts out everything's fine and dandy. All of a sudden there's a storm, then they're thrown into peril. Then they have to come together. Maybe they split up at some point or something, or whatever. All these issues happen. And then by the end of it, they save the day.
Yeah.
I
And
would
the
like
thing
one
is,
movie where like the people all die at the end. And
right,
there's
but
a sequel because, why
that's
not?
why I liked La Valentula because even though it follows the formula somewhat, it subverts the formula in other areas and very successfully. This one doesn't even try to do that.
Mm.
It's just following the same kind of stuff.
So when I worked that one day on Collision Earth, I kind of learned basically that the writer, the guy who wrote Collision Earth, which you thought was it's pretty bad writing, but the guy is a comic, like, and what he probably wouldn't be upset if somebody said it was bad writing because he did it sort of as a formula, right? So the asylum has like this is what happens in this scene, this is what's going to happen, right? Like, and then it's just like a template and basically cut and paste, and everything. And all they know is that people are going to watch it. They'll put Eric Roberts in it or Mark Moses, somebody, in the movie that people will go, oh, I like him.
Taking up a
Oh,
time slot.
yeah. And then you watch it, and then it's like usually at midnight, when you're not really caring, I
And
mean,
that's the difference when you have the money, to pay an actual writer versus, well, let's just get a comic or somebody who wants to write for this for some pennies and he will give them a template to follow.
yeah. But he's done it for more than one movie. He's worked on multiple movies up
Yeah,
there,
and I'm sure
all
that's
doing the
why.
same template,
I'm
you
sure
know.
that's why they got him, so because they know that they can rely on him finishing it.
Now, Shannon, you're a writer as well, as an actor, but you're a writer and director. What are your what are your thoughts on the writing and direction of this movie?
Terrible. I think it's just terrible. The directing is not so bad.
Right.
Everybody knew what they had to do, and that wasn't so bad. The writing, though, is what really killed this whole movie. You can't like anybody because they're not. The writing is just terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
And then a lot of the science stuff is terrible. Like just the idea that like they're creating something where they can control the weather. They can make it rain, right? So they get really excited, which I thought was sort of funny. Like I wish they had done like a kind of a stripper like thing because like I said, make it rain. They made it rain. Made a stripper reference. I thought that might have been funny.
Well, I mean,
But
it just when it crosses common sense, like, okay, I can buy that they're seeding the clouds with drones. Okay, you've
mm,
got me. But you know what? The stuff they use to seed the clouds with, it's not infinite. It will run out. It's not going to keep going forever and ever and ever, which is what they're trying to make us believe. That stuff
Hmm.
runs out because they're tiny,
mm.
you know?
Well, also, and then like they do the experiment, and then all of a sudden, something happens. I'm not even quite sure what, but apparently there was like another storm or something that was happening that they didn't catch on the radar or whatever, and or a freak thing, and all of a sudden that creates the storms that appear out of nowhere at any time the story feels like it's, okay to do that,
Yeah,
right?
it's ridiculous. It's like, oh God, you do one thing and all of a sudden you've taken the Earth's weather system and completely thrown it out of control. You know.
Yeah. And they put all of them in one spot.
Hmm.
Mhm.
All these drones are in one single area.
Yeah, so why are there so many, twisters everywhere? There's like 4 or 5 twisters in like different areas, like I don't get any of that. Very confusing.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Um, but apparently that's what they went with, for this story. And just to make it so that the twisters are the more, and honestly, this is like the most lackluster ice twister I've ever seen. Because anytime you have like a cool scene where like the scene where the daughter is driving down the road and she gets all of a sudden the stuff comes at her, she we cut, so then you see the aftermath later, but you don't see her go inside the storm or anything,
Yeah.
and stuff. And it was kind of a bummer. Like if they had more money, like Hollywood, Hollywood would have got a better writer, but they would have probably done a similar type story and made it actually make a little bit more sense,
Yeah, the writer probably would have pointed out, the reason why you don't see very many twisters in the winter is because in order for tornadoes to form, you actually need warm, wet air. And warm air holds a lot more moisture than cold air does. So I'm not saying they don't form in the wintertime, they can, but it's rare and they tend to be very, very small and weak, not like that.
No.
No. And I agree because there was that one line from that one kid who said that there would never been any twisters at all in that area.
And that's true. I think it's funny. When he said that, I went and looked it up. Guess what? There are hundreds of tornadoes in the Portland area and the Oregon area. It's just that most of them are small, but there have been
Hmm.
hundreds.
So, well, I mean, that kid was probably dumb anyway, like that, whatever. But or
Well, he
maybe
throws it
he,
out there to try to establish the fact that something completely weird is going on that shouldn't be happening. No, dude,
right?
it happens.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? This was written in 2011. You know what also was done in 2011? Google.
I thought it was 2009.
I thought it was 2011.
I
It
thought
could be.
2009.
2009.
Okay, 2009. But
It
still,
might have been
Google.
written before that, too.
Okay, it's 2009. I guess I read one of the other ones was 2011. 2009, but it was Google, had been created by that. You could Google if there were twisters
Oh,
in
yeah.
Portland, Oregon. Or
Right.
you could Google where is a place that has no twisters.
5 seconds. That's all it took me to find
Right.
that information out.
Mm-hmm.
And you could Google that as a writer and figure it out. That just shows you the lack of like care that the writer went into this movie, the script, going,
Although
I just don't care,
in
whatever.
2009, it might have been Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
It's true. Man, I miss Ask Jeeves. I think that's still around though, right? Like
I have no
Yahoo's
idea.
still around. I don't know. I just do Google. Google's so much easier and whatnot. But that's it. Like you go to a search engine, you type in where, like are there
A
now it'd be
dog
Chat
pile.
GP now it'd be Chat GPT that you can use, to figure this stuff out. And that is a good way to research.
Well, I hate to
Nobody cared.
say, if you're going to do this kind of formula thing, you might as well let ChatGPT write it.
I bet they would have wrote a better idea, a better script,
Mhm.
because they at least would know like the science of some of the
Mhm.
stuff, because
Exactly.
that's what they do. Is if you said, "Hey, can I get a scientific reason why there would be?" You know what? Let's fucking do that. I'm gonna
I
do that
mean,
right now.
it's formulaic, so you're not going to get anything really, really good. But if you don't really care and you're just trying to write something that you can film and take up a time slot, you might as well.
Hold on. Give me a scientific reason why there would be ice twisters. Let's see if ChatGPT gives us Creating a scientific basis for ice twisters would involve combining the mechanics of tornadoes with extreme cold weather phenomena. Here's a concept that would work. Extreme polar vortex and high moisture environment. Imagine a scenario where the exceptionally powerful polar vortex, a rotating low pressure system of extremely cold air, descends far south or north, depending on the hemisphere, and collides with the warm, moisture laden front. The warm front provides the moisture needed to create precipitation while cold air rapidly freezes it, creating ice particles in the air, right?
Yeah, they had to create their own moisture, remember?
As the cold air continues to collide with warm, moist air, rotating columns of ice particles form, creating an ice twister. There will be like snow tornadoes where the extreme cold and wind speeds whip up snow, ice crystals, and possibly even frozen water droplets. If the storm is severe enough, these twisters could have enough power to freeze objects in their path as the temperature drops rapidly within the vortex.
What would
I
be an
mean,
interesting experiment is if you were to go to ChatGPT and say, write me a 90-page script with ice twisters as the title, and then you read out the IMDb tagline or log line and see what it comes up with.
sadly, you can't do a 90-page script yet.
Oh,
They
you
can
can't?
only, no, they don't have the capacity for ChatGPT. Yet, I'm guaranteeing they're working on that and trying to make it so that the
So what's your
Hollywood,
max?
I think it's just shorts. It's shorts. So about 10, 15 pages, I think,
Yeah, they
you
could
know.
do it in 10, 15-page chunks then.
Right. I'm sure you could ask him to give you, well, I've tried that just out of fun, trying for one of my scripts, just saying, do this, and it is not good. It is not
Well, I
good.
know. But I've
And
I've made them do things like, invading vampire hedgehogs from Mars, fighting laser Twinkies and just goofy shit, and it'll spit out like a script. It's funny
and,
actually.
and it does seem very serious and like a real movie script, or whatever,
And that's
just
the
with all
fun
these
part.
wacky shit happening. I've read a couple of the ones that you sent me, and I just think those are just goofy as fuck. But they are more fun than this would be because, like, Ice Twisters is what like sci-fi probably wanted. You
What a
know,
great TV show concept. You should pitch that, where you just pitch a wacky idea to ChatGPT and you got to film it.
you'd have to get like permission from ChatGPT, I guess, or something.
Yeah,
And give them
well, or
some
something
credits.
similar. Call it
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, or whatever. But anyway, this movie, I think, just it was a formulaic, typical, sci-fi stuff. Shannon, do you watch the made for sci-fi movies much?
Yeah, I have. I've seen a bunch of them, like the Snakehead movies and the crocodile movies. I've seen a lot of them.
Sharknado?
Yes, I've seen Sharknado.
Where you like, so when you heard the title Sharknado, like, what was your first thought?
That it was going to be funny. I did not go into watching that movie thinking it was going to be some masterpiece at all.
No,
A lot
I
of big
think
names in it, and there was a lot of comedy to it.
Yeah, this took itself too seriously.
It did.
I I I remember, but it's funny because I talked to the writer of that movie, Thunder 11, and he knew when like he had the choice between directing that movie, right? The movie he was writing for Sharknado, or directing another project. He decided to direct the other project that he wrote, but let somebody else handle the direction for. And Anthony Ferrante did the direction perfectly. Like they were a good team, which pissed me off because then all of a sudden I saw everybody on Facebook saying, I want to be the next writer of Sharknado 2 or whatever. And I'm like, dude,
Mm.
they're not going to
Well,
give up the writer.
one of the things we don't know, and is probably worth asking if you can ever get some of these folks on your, the Spotlight show, he may have been hired specifically to write more of a drama and less of a comedy. He, being a comic, he might have seen that and said, "This is
Well,
ridiculous.
no, no, no,
Let's
no.
fill this with a comedy."
The comedian writer was the guy from Collision Earth. The guy who wrote this is, just a formulaic
Well,
writer of
I guess
stuff.
what I'm saying is he might have been directed to write it seriously versus writing it with a lot more fun.
Exactly. And like Mike Mendez, who directed and wrote Bob, that's his thing. He wrote like speaking of spiders, he wrote a movie called Big Ass Spider, you
Oh, he
know.
did that one too?
Yeah. And
Okay.
so Mike knows what's goofy and silly, right? And stuff like that. And I'm surprised sci-fi let him do it, like that. Because there were jokes, speaking of Sharknado, there was a joke where Finn from Sharknado is running away or whatever, and they kind of meet up. Steve Guttenberg and Ian Bailey or whatever, Ian, yeah, the guy from 90210. Um, they meet up, and he goes, "Hey, hey, there's spiders over here," and he goes, "Sorry, I've got sharks to fight or whatever." And so there's like tongue in cheek with that stuff. Like he
Hmm.
knew what they were doing.
That works.
Um, that works. Then there's that movie that I liked a lot that you hated because you didn't get any of the references, MTV stuff or whatever, that Monster Island movie. And I
Oh
just thought it
yeah.
was fun. I
That
thought it
was
was a
written for
lot of
your
fun.
generation, not my
Yeah.
generation.
So Shannon, you might have liked that one too. It's called Monster Island. It's got like Carmen Electra and Nick Cannon and a bunch of other people in it. And it's funny and it's goofy. It's for the MTV um, you know,
The
generation.
later MTV, this is when they stopped bothering watching or putting out music. It was
The
just
real world,
whatever, crap.
Oh,
yeah, generation where all of a sudden it became less about the music videos and more, well, not necessarily, because Shannon's my age, so our generation kind of grew up watching like TRL, Total Request Live. And you
mm-hmm.
hadn't even heard of that, Paul, because that was after your time. But that was all music videos. That was a countdown to music video stuff, and things. So
I saw it the night that MTV came on and played the first videos. I was there for that. I watched it.
Ah,
Yeah.
did you watch Beavis and Butthead?
I hated Beavis and Butthead.
It's funny because
I
Mike
had to go to
Judge is
school with people like that.
so that's why you hated it because it just
Absolutely.
reminded you of people that you actually knew.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be also a really good like thing for Mike Judge to say, I'm making this movie or this TV show because and it's exactly like the people know. I don't know. I think there were people at my school that was very much like that or whatever. But yeah, it was silly time period and movies and this sci-fi, which originally was not sci-fi, basically it was an SYFY originally. It was the Sci-Fi Channel, was a lot different. And then when
Mm.
it became sci-fi, it became, we're gonna make these science fiction silly movies, and we're gonna get the Asylum and other companies to produce them for us. It's kind of like Lifetime. Lifetime, and a lot of the people who did these kind of movies went off to do Christmas movies for Lifetime, Stephen R. Monroe included, because there's a formula to them. And it's easy to direct a movie that's basically a formula. You don't really have to do anything.
It's just the typical lowbrow crap that Hollywood shits out on a daily basis.
yes.
But I like it. I don't know. I don't mind Christmas movies like that. It's just, usually they've got a cute girl like Lacey Chabert, and stuff like that. And
The internet's full of cute girls, my friend.
I know, but I can still watch her and that stuff. I don't know. I don't care. Once again, I picked this movie mainly because I knew Shalon Simmons was in it. That was it. I didn't
She is cute.
know.
She's very cute.
Yes. And so other than that, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know who the lead guy was. Now that you say that, I need to go rewatch Platoon because it's been forever.
Oh
Might
yeah.
have to buy the 4K of it or something sometime.
How
But
the mighty
I
have fallen.
but it happens. Look at Bela Lugosi. He
Oh
worked with Ed
yeah.
Wood at the end of his life. After a while, especially men, they kind of get they kind of get tossed to the side of like, well, they can't really do anything. They can't be nobody wants
Yeah.
to. What's that? There's this line in a movie I watched where the Yeah, it was Wedding Singer in the movie The Wedding Singer. One of the guys says, "Do you know what happened to the Fonz and Vinny, whatever from Welcome Back, Kotter? You know, they stopped acting in movies like that because they nobody wants to see a 50-year-old guy hitting on chicks.
Mm.
And that's true.
Well,
I
Mark
mean,
Moses was in a bunch of the Star Trek series. He was in Born on the Fourth of July. He was in Dead Men Don't Lie. He was in The Doors. He was in Empire City. He was in a whole bunch of TV shows. And of course, as time goes on, he starts to get, pushed to the side and do smaller bit roles and everything. But yeah, he was more of a Hollywood guy for a while, you know.
well,
And
what
again, he's not a
was
bad actor. It's just this was the role he was given, and he went with it.
Well,
Hmm.
that's what happened with Bruce Campbell. Bruce
Yeah.
Campbell was in the begin, especially early on in his career. He was the guy in the big sci-fi movies or the big movies like Congo, but he was a small role. So he always said the bigger the movie, the smaller the role. The smaller the movie, the bigger the role. So he had a bigger role in like the Evil Dead movies or whatever because they were
Briscoe County.
smaller. Briscoe County, and then he did Burn Notice, and my parents knew who he was after that. My mom had always said this is one of the sweetest things. My mom was always like, because I told her I was at a convention that he was at, but she was like, remember that guy and I'm like, who? And she's like, the guy from Burn Notice, and I'm like, Bruce Campbell? I don't know him. Like
Hmm.
she always thinks I knew him or something. That I was
Bruce
like
Campbell
friends with
should have been
him.
bigger.
He should have been. That's
Yes.
true. You know. But Evil Dead was enough. I mean, to get him stuff, and he's still doing things. So, I still love it. But he was doing a lot of made for sci-fi movies, and guess what? He was the lead.
Mm.
Because
Hmm.
that's what you're gonna get him in Alien Apocalypse,
Well,
which
I
we
mean,
are
let's
gonna do one day.
Steve Guttenberg. I mean, for like a hot minute, he was like the guy for all those crappy Police Academy movies, and then poof, his career was pretty much vanished, and he's showing up in all the Lifetime and sci-fi movies.
Well, you know why? Because he left Police Academy on his own. He didn't get fired from Police Academy. He said, I don't want to be the Police Academy guy anymore. And after number four, I think. So he had done four Police Academies and was like, I'm done. And then Matt McCoy, who I love to death also, was took over for him, became the new Mahoney. And all of a sudden, what he thought, I think he got too big for his britches. I think he thought I was the police academy guy. They're gonna hire me to be, the leading man of whatever. And no, that didn't happen. And so
Wasn't
he
he in
got
Three Men and a Baby?
he was one of the men, yes.
Yeah,
But that
I
was
got
like,
dragged to that one. Oh, it was awful, but it was a Hollywood movie.
yeah, I think that might have been at that time of like him leaving. I think it was right before he left police academy.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Were you, Shannon, were you a big Police Academy fan or any of those?
Yeah, I love Police Academy.
So yeah, so I mean, and that was the great thing about La Valencia is they had three of the people from Police Academy. They had Mahoney, and then they had the guy Motormouth Jones, the guy making all the voices and stuff. And they had oh and no, they have four because they had Marion Ramsey, who was the small little black woman who had like the voice or whatever, and then they have the chick who was in Devil's Rejects, Leslie Easterbrook, who I've also met, and she was very sweet to me. I love her too. So there's a
Yeah.
lot.
I
Um,
never really liked them, but what I liked, because if you're going to do that kind of a thing and just go all out and be incredibly terrible, is a movie we are going to do on Indie Film Cafe, and that's Night Patrol.
yeah,
I don't know if you've
Yes, I like
seen.
Night Patrol.
I don't know if you've seen that movie with Linda Blair and
I've
Billy
heard of
Barty,
it.
the farting midget. It's like a much dumber but more fun version of Police Academy.
Yes.
Well, and you know what? I love that because there was a time period where all the all of a sudden all of the what is it there's knockoffs of Police Academy all over the place. There were so many ones, and we did one that was basically a knockoff, which was Busted.
Mhm.
For was it Corey Feldman
Corey
and Corey Haim?
Feldman.
It was terrible. You know. Have you saw it, right, Paul?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I
I
did.
can't. I can't. Uh-oh, I lost sound here.
Oh dear.
Hold on.
We're gonna make our
Um,
friend Just Jen watch Night
Jeez,
Patrol
it was doing
because
so well. I don't
it's
know what
such a
happened. Hold
capsule of
on.
80s, crappy
That's
bad
why.
80s stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sorry about that.
It's all
It
right.
should work now.
I'm
Oh,
saying I was
I still
telling her
can't
we're
hear
gonna
you.
we're gonna make Just Jen watch
What is
Night
going on?
Patrol.
Can you guys hear each other?
Yes.
Yes. Ugh. Moody is discombobulated.
Yes.
So Moody was saying you do writing and directing and everything. I guess you're an actor too. I don't really know your background.
Yeah, I've acted in a few movies. We actually just did a premiere for it, Blood and Breakfast.
Ooh, I heard about the Blood and Breakfast.
Yep. So we just premiered that. Head on the Writer's Block, I've done that. We're trying to premiere that with the next screening of Blood and Breakfast.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And then I'm directing my first film, the
Ooh,
Sibylla
congratulations.
6.
So are you out in LA?
No, I'm in Maryland,
Oh, Maryland. Whereabouts in Maryland?
in the Frederick County area.
Okay, very cool. Not
Mhm.
quite Burkittsville, but on the way.
No, I don't like to give my exact location.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
okay.
we totally get that.
I was
Sorry.
just gonna make a couple Blair Witch jokes. That's all.
I got to meet the mayor of Burkittsville, actually. I think I was at a horror convention and he was friends with Joe Turk of all people, and Joe introduced me and I was like, what?
I
Really? That's
heard there's
awesome.
an actual Blair Witch museum out there.
Probably.
There is a Blair Witch Museum, and then there's also, I don't know if they still do it, but we were going to go. It was my 17th birthday, and my friends and I were going to go and see. You're supposed to go take this tour through Burkittsville, and you can go through the woods, and you're supposed to, the Blair Witch and stuff. We broke down on the way there in a
Oh no.
cornfield,
Oh God.
so we did not
That's
attempt to keep going. It
that
was
sounds
one of
like
the
a
most
horror
terrifying
film.
nights of my life.
Oh my
Sounds
goodness.
like a horror film.
That
Jesus.
sounds like a great little
It
short
was,
film.
and it was like me and my friend Lydia, and then there were two guys with us, my cousin Steve and his friend. So we stayed in the car while they went and tried to get help. We were in this tiny little old Ford
Oh,
Escort, no cell phones. So
wow.
yeah, that was
That's
terrifying.
Gary Lord.
Oh,
You
that's
should
fun.
make that into a movie. Like that
Yeah,
sounds like a great idea for
that'd
a
be fun.
movie. And then you can say based on a true story, whatever.
Right.
That's
The
awesome.
Blair Witch got you.
The Blair
Right.
the Blair Witch was like, you ain't coming to see me. All right. We don't want you here. Um, that's funny.
That's funny.
Um, I'm not a huge Blair Witch fan, but because I'm not a huge found footage fan, but I respect the hell out of it. I think it's awesome, that independently speaking, that they were able to make this cheap movie and it became a huge fucking thing. But uh but then again, I mean, I still won't say that it's my cup of tea,
Well, the
you
thing
know.
is, unlike this movie, that is not a formula movie. That is a movie by which other formulas are written.
Yes.
Right. Oh yeah, and then also, well, Paranormal Activity came over, but I thought about it. Paranormal Activity is different than Blair Witch. Nobody's videotaping someone the whole time and doing all that stuff. If they had done that, I don't think Paranormal Activity would have been the movie that it was, and everything. So
And it
I
was
think,
baby monitors, I think.
yeah, it was baby monitors and security cams and different things. It still doesn't make any sense. Why did somebody edit all these together to show us? You know what I mean? Like it makes no sense. But it doesn't matter because it's kind of cool. They use something different, they do something different, and I respected that. So
Mhm.
I liked Paranormal Activity a lot more than I liked, because there wasn't the people running and then talking to the camera and doing all that stuff. I thought that was so stupid. Uh, but there were scenes where things were happening behind them and they didn't see it because the ghosts were fucking with them, and stuff. So I enjoyed it. I don't know. But then Paul and I watched what was that movie? Some kind of haunting of whatever, and it was a found footage movie that the
Oh yeah,
Asylum
yeah,
made.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the funniest thing, it was supposed to take place in like Colorado or some place that was like haunted, and yet they filmed it in California
Palm trees
with palm
everywhere.
trees in the background.
Okay.
Just like this looks nothing like it. What the hell? It was funny.
I don't mind found footage. I like, do you like Hell House? Have you seen Hell
I haven't
House?
seen it. I've
All
heard
that
so many
is?
good things about it.
The
I don't know.
original?
What?
It's called Hell House LLC.
Okay, so we're
Yes,
not okay. The
there's,
original Hell House is very
No,
different.
yeah, no. This is a different movie. This is a found footage film.
hmm
And I've heard good things about it. I've heard good things about, was it Creep as well as another found footage film. I don't. I mean, I'll probably still watch found footage films if I sort of have to, or I'm going to review it, but they're not my thing.
Well, just to put a cap on this little part of our discussion, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time is The Legend of Boggy Creek. And while that's not found footage, it's more fake documentary. The
hmm
guys who made Blair Witch cited that very heavily as to how they were going to make their film. So you need to see that.
Well, and that's true because if you look at Blair Witch, it is supposed to be a documentary. They're filming a documentary, and then just it becomes a found footage film where they found the footage or whatever of the documentary. But yeah, and we reviewed another Sasquatch movie, that Sam Qualiana did, the
We
back
like
in
our Sasquatch movies.
the Legend of Six Fingers. So
Have you seen Crickfoot?
I have not, no, not yet. I want to. Was that the one that Matt worked on? Matt Burns?
Well, it's a Bone Johnson film, but yeah,
Okay,
Matt Burns produced on it. He did a scene. I'm in it. Um,
nice.
that's a good one. It's a mockumentary, so it's a lot
Okay,
of comedy about tracking down a
that
Sasquatch that they call
Nice.
Crickfoot.
Well, there is Yeti with a machete coming out, so I can't wait for that.
That sounds awesome. I mean,
Yes.
actually,
what was the other one? You saw like the invisible something or whatever
Oh, yeah.
raptor, invisible raptor.
Yeah,
You
Invisible
know,
Raptor.
I saw all the comments and they're like, "Wow, this is very cheap. They couldn't even afford the killer, so they just made it invisible."
Right, right.
Smart thinking, I guess. I don't know. That's funny. All right. Well, we are at that time. I don't think there's anything else we need to discuss with this movie. I think we've gone off the topic, so it's done. We're over it.
well, that's how
Um,
bad the movie is. We can't really, there's nothing to really talk about.
I it kind of like honestly, I was surprised because we were getting to like the 20 something mark, and I was like, ugh, do we have any more thing to discuss? And Paul and I can yap, so we can figure something to like mention or throw out there. And enough happened where I guess you can, talk an hour, but generally speaking, it's a pretty kind of formula boring movie. But anyway, we're at that time. We're going to be doing a our or basically our rating, and we do a stinkometer rating.
Yay.
So the stinkometer rating was created by Paul, and it is a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being very, very good, 10 being very, very stinky. You can also do a 0.5 if you feel like a half step, if you feel like you're not sure if it's a 4.5. You could do a 4.5 or 5.5 if you feel so much. And usually, since when our guests are like first for the first time, we let them go last so that they can kind of get a sense of everything. So I'm gonna make Paul go first.
Yeah. And just so you know, the higher the number, the stinkier the movie is. And
Okay.
while we love our stinky movies here, that also tends to mean that there are problems. So,
Yes.
Hmm.
the lighting was bad and you couldn't see anything, the sound was bad, you couldn't hear anything, that kind of thing. So, um, bearing that in mind, technically, production wise, I thought it was fine. We've definitely seen a lot worse stuff
Hmm.
like that, even though I was able to pick up a number of lazy and just kind of continuity errors. I thought the acting was okay given the paper thin characters these folks were given. Um, it was mainly, this is, another one of those movies where the writing is the main culprit in this film, with a little bit of the cheap CGI coming up behind it. But
Hmm.
the main character being such a pain in the balls really kind of turned me off of the film.
Oh,
I'm gonna go with a 7.5.
okay. I was gonna go with a 7 because I kind of agree with you. I kind of think it should have been a lot better. Like they have the means and everything. As you said, the production was actually pretty good. So the CGI was okay. Like there was some really cheesy CGI, pretty bad CGI, but that's 2009 CGI. Like nowadays, I think it might be even better, that they could do. I think they could do this movie completely low budget. Like Shannon, you could go out and make this movie if you wanted to, like with ice twisters or something, because the CGI is available for everybody and it's cheaper now. But
Cannibal Hail, where the hail eats people.
well, might as well because the hail here just killed everybody. It killed that guy apparently. So why not? Cannibal Hail. Well, actually, it can't be Cannibal Hail because cannibal that would mean the hail
Or
eats
maybe it's Zombie
itself.
Hail.
Zo- Zombie hail. Okay.
Yeah.
That might work. But anyway, I thought it wasn't terrible. Like we have seen worse. I don't think it was very good. Like it was not a well done movie. And if the writing would have been a lot better, I think, and I guarantee you, if you watch all the other disaster movies, tornado movies this guy wrote, I guarantee you you'll find like the same story basically, except maybe the characters are different, or whatever, but the same essential story. So I don't know. All right. How about you, Shannon?
I'm going with an 8.
8. Ooh, okay.
Good for you.
I
Uh,
did
how come?
not like it. I didn't like this at all. I did not like the CGI. I did not like Paul said, the continuity. I noticed that big time. Um, the writing is just absolutely terrible. I wanted to like at least one character, and I did not
Mm,
whatsoever. The direction, not so bad. And like I said, I think the cinematography was really good, but this movie, all in all, no, I did not like it. I would not watch it again. I would not recommend it to anybody.
wow. There you go. That should be on their poster. We do not recommend this movie to anybody. Shannon Atkins.
Unless they
I
did it with puppets, that would be fun.
Oh yeah.
and cows.
Yes.
The cows are the heroes, the ones that save the day in the movie. And then I buy it.
Yeah, they
Um,
could release methane and that screws up the storm somehow.
yeah, it was not that great of a movie. It was a lot worse than what I was expecting. I thought it was gonna be kind of fun, you know. I didn't think it was gonna be like Lava Lantula fun, but I thought at least it would, kind of maybe be kind of cute. But then
I
it's just
mean,
kind of
but we've seen a lot worse too.
yeah. Yeah, no, we definitely have. And Shannon hasn't been on the show much at all. This is her first time. So trust me, we say like this isn't as bad as
Miss Werewolf.
yeah, we've had some ones that we've had a lot of
Hip
actual
Hop
10s
Locos.
30s. 30 is what it ends up being because like 10, 10, and 10. And a 30 or 30 plus are pretty bad. Like all the
Stinky
Neil Breen
Heaven.
movies, yeah, all that stuff. And we have a thing called the Ladder of Stink. And we kind of see like let me see, let me check this out. What
This way, all the scores are kind of like a ladder going higher and higher and higher up into Stinky Heaven, and anyone that's a 30 or 30 hot plus gets into Stinky Heaven.
Oh wow.
So that's usually
exactly?
where like the Neil Breens of the world live.
Yeah, this definitely did not go to Sticky Heaven. This was
Mm-mm. It's on the
uh
ladder though, but it's
this
not that far up.
yeah, well, kind of is. I guess was it 14 plus 8 it got 22?
22,
22?
22 and a half.
22 and a half, that's right. So the ladder stink. Do we even have a 22 and a half on here?
We might.
We might not. We'll find out in a second. This isn't all of the movies. I'm just looking up the ones. that are
Yeah,
actually
we're still
written.
behind because we're
You were
still
still
waiting for
behind
Moody
a
to
lot.
catch up.
Yeah, I gotta catch up. But okay, this 22 and a half is Crater Lake Monster. Wonton Ton, the dog that saved Hollywood.
Ah,
It's the 22 and a half. Let's see.
it's the one where the
Corn.
dog tries to commit suicide by sticking his head in the oven.
Yeah, it's sad. Corn Man, an American vegetable hero,
Corn Man was fun.
and that's it. Those are the only ones
Find
that
yourself
got
Corn Man.
there.
That's a cute movie.
Okay.
Now let
The
me go
sidekick
to,
Butter Boy.
since we don't have there. Let me see if there's any from uh shoot, where's my notes not coming up? Let's see if the season 7 ones actually pop up. Because I do have all the ones from season 7. So if there's a 22 and a half here, it does not look like there is. Nope. There's a few 30 pluses though. We haven't even gotten to 30 yet. I don't think. We
Someone's
were
been slacking.
this was gonna be the year that we got 30, and no, like a whole bunch of 30s.
Someone's been slacking.
All of us have.
Hey, I just did They Saved Hitler's Brain. That could have been, but no, nobody
No,
seemed to go for that one.
no, no, it was pretty bad. But no, no, there's no 22 and a half there. So yeah, those are the only 22 and a halves in that list. And that's a good list to go with, you know. If you've seen Core Man or Crater Lake Monsters, pretty fucking bad. It's I think it should have been worse, honestly, but I think
Yes, I
I
agree.
I don't know, was I on that or
Yes, you were.
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I'm a lot
The
nicer about the
claymation monster gets bumped to death by a bulldozer. It just kind of goes,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and
yeah,
it's like, "Hmm."
that's
So
really
I need to
silly.
watch Corn Man and Lavalantula
Yes,
since we
Those
talked so
two
much
for
about
sure.
that.
yes.
Yeah, you'll like those movies. All the rest are kind of silly or fun or whatever. I mean, if you go to our website, indiefilmcafe.reviews, we have a whole list of them. You know, we've reviewed them
All
and
broken down and
um,
discussed.
yeah, which is what I don't like. Paul did that to begin with, and I wasn't involved in it, but then all of a sudden he was like, I don't want to write all of these. Jonathan, you got to write the ones you do, and I'm like,
Well,
I
only
didn't
because I
want to.
didn't see them.
I know. Well, but
Well,
now you make me do all of them, even if you have seen them.
Well,
You know?
only yours. I do mine.
Yeah, but I don't want to do mine anymore. I'm just too busy with a million other things to do. Um, Surprised you're not trying to stop that because you're too busy, you know, but whatever. Anywho, we just got to catch up on those things. But Shannon, thank you so much. Like, we really appreciate having you
yeah, it
on
was
here.
fun. Thank
And
you.
you said there's Crickfoot out and available, right? What else is available that you've been in?
Like I told Paul, we just did the premiere of Blood and Breakfast
Hmm.
over the weekend, and that is available on DVD. Reach out to Matt Burns. He's posting like crazy
Hmm.
that the copies are almost gone. So definitely
Oh, shit.
get a copy of that DVD. It was a great movie. I really liked it.
Did
Proud to
Matt
be a
like
part of that.
did did Matt's page disappear? Because I got a new friend request by
Yes.
Matthew Burns, and I'm
Yes.
like, okay, I guess I got.
Yes, we don't know what happened. We're trying to message him and he said no longer available on Messenger. And so he texted me and he said, "Is my page up?" I said, "Nope."
Hmm.
So he had to create a new one.
Maybe
Okay,
he was stalked by a serial killer. Serial? Get the right considered.
I know I understand what you're saying, but I don't get where that came from.
Blood and
Oh, because the
breakfast.
blood and breakfast. Okay. My brain is just like after watching this movie, I think it
Sorry.
just turned my brain into numb.
I'm Gen
You know,
X. I have certain amount of dad jokes I have to tell.
I mean you're up there with the time, so yeah. I mean I get it. Um there yeah, but I've heard the serial killer joke a little bit too much that it's just kind of, it's not as funny as it used to be, I guess. I don't
Oh,
know.
it's a dad joke. It's not supposed to be funny.
Oh, okay. Good. Um, but anyway, yeah. So, all right, I'll definitely reach out to him and get a copy of it, and maybe we'll review it. I don't know if you noticed, Paul, but I did a review of the movie I watched, Charisma Killers, that I was telling you about before, but I didn't know where to put it. So we have a section in our playlist that says movie reviews. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll just call it a movie review, and everything like that. And that could be you, me, whoever wants to do one can just send us a movie review. Shannon,
Okay.
if you want to review a movie at some point, send it to us and we'll
Yeah,
put it up
please.
on
We
YouTube.
need folks doing this content. That'd be great.
Yeah, because
Sure.
we're not that we don't do enough, because trust me, we do. But it's like it's always nice to have more, content than because sometimes like this year we've been busy with a lot of other stuff, but we've still been putting out content, but not as much. And now I'm getting back into that. Like the 31 Days of Indie Horror
Yeah.
was like a thing that like killed me into like
It's especially
Hmm.
nice
again.
to have somebody who's not a nerdy white guy like us. So someone different.
Yes, exactly. Women especially, like we would like more women.
Maybe me and Amanda can put something together and send it in to you. We've been talking a lot about doing movie reviews.
That'd be great.
Awesome. That'd be great. We'd love that. We would definitely post it and get
Yep.
it out there.
Become part of the Indie Film Cafe network.
Yes.
Yay.
That's part of why we started as the network. And so yeah, I love Amanda. Amanda was on our show. She's the one who did decoys with you and me, Paul,
Okay.
and stuff. And so I mean, I just knew all these guys from the movie stuff here. And I know you guys are working on something. I know you guys can't really talk about it right now, but you guys have some kind of project. Brewing, because you guys sent me was it the group for it,
Black
right?
Sheep.
Yeah. Can you talk about that at all or no? No. Okay,
Nope, I
good.
can't give a whole lot of information on that one yet.
Like the New Zealand one, Black Sheep?
No, I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think it's not
Okay.
about a killer sheep, is it?
No.
Okay, good. That's all you have to say, because literally that movie Black Sheep is about a killer sheep, which
As you do.
right? I mean, if you're gonna do you're gonna call it that sometimes, be literal, I guess. But was it but you also have the Sibylla 6 that you're getting
We
out.
are almost done.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That
That's
sounds
We are
good.
almost done with principal photography, and we're going to do a premiere of October 2025.
nice. Whoa, October 2025. Nice. I
Mhm.
mean, good. We can't wait to see more about that. And yeah, so we're excited. That's your directorial debut, right? Like
Yes.
yes,
Yay.
awesome.
Hmm.
So
How you
congratulations
liking
on that.
that?
I really do actually like directing. Directing's a lot fun. I think I like it better than acting.
Really? Wow.
Really?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Not a lot more stressful?
No, not, I mean, I made the mistake of acting and directing in my first film.
Hmm.
So I will never do that again.
I've I know about that because I do that all the time, but I'm kind of used to it because I directed myself in shorts for a long time,
Hmm.
Like maybe I'd be like the only one in the short. So I'm just like, so after a while it kind of got a little bit used to whatever, sort of thing. But it when you're directing and acting, the one thing you want to make sure to do is to rely on your crew to tell you if it was a good or bad take and to trust them that if they say this was a pretty bad take, that you retake it or something because, or whatever. Because my thing is a lot of times, especially with me too, I will get into where I will, you know, uh direct and act at the same time, and I'll be like, oh, that was, as Ed Wood would say, that was perfect. Let's move on. And it's not perfect. It needs
Hmm.
another take or another take, and the beauty of us right now is we're not shooting on actual film. So you can take more than one take, You might not have a lot of time, but you still can, or whatever if you need to get it done perfectly, and stuff. So really there's no real excuses with digital, you know.
And
My
yet we see movies where they just leave bad takes in all the time.
well, you're talking about people like your was it the Miss Werewolf guy? And I mean, he does that. He's just a terrible editor. He doesn't edit
Oh, he
anything
doesn't.
out.
He just doesn't care. He just. It's not. He's not interested in that.
There's a movie called Miss Werewolf, and like literally the dude for like 10, 20 minutes, I don't know how long it was, but he would just do the same scene talking to himself over and over and over again. And it get kind of like, wait.
Or he
And
would
I
start
think,
talking about his monster memorabilia collection.
right.
Or
And
a
his
guy
job,
off the street would just wander in and be like, "Hey, are you shooting a movie?" And he'd walk out on camera and say, "Yeah, we're doing this." And he left it all in.
and
Oh, wow.
he lifted it into the movie, and we are just like, what? But like he would, I guarantee a lot of that
Fun.
stuff is editing, is like the idea of like him doing 10 minutes of them doing the same scene. Generally speaking, what happens is you do that one scene, then you cut and you find the best shots or the best cuts, and then whatever. He just leaves it all in there
Yeah.
because either he's lazy and doesn't want to edit, or he just doesn't.
I I think David the Rock Nelson has no interest in following movie conventions, and I also think he just hates the idea of empty space on his VHS tapes, and he wants to fill up the entire thing with everything that he can.
Yeah. Well, he still
Extras.
shoots on VHS.
Yeah.
He doesn't shoot on
He
digital.
edits on
Okay.
VHS, one tape machine to the other.
Like old school stuff. He
Yeah.
just hasn't upgraded to the newest technology because he just doesn't care. I guess he's that old that he just because I remember I found him, I discovered him,
The Ed Wood of the
and
90s, he calls himself.
yes, so I discovered him when I was on a Ed Wood. There was an Ed Wood DVD, and I forgot which one it was. Me some one of his movies. I think it was Orgy of the Dead or something
Where's
like
the
that.
Dad, probably.
Yeah, and there was a bonus feature that said the Plan 9 the was Ed Wood of the 90s, right? And I was like, what is this? So I clicked on it, and it was like sort of a 15-minute documentary about this guy who just shot stuff in his backyard, and he made whatever, all these monster movies, and he just didn't care. He just made
He's
these
on
things.
Vice. Vice did a special on him.
Jon Stewart interviewed him.
Yep.
Yeah, he got interviewed by Jon Stewart before Jon Stewart became a Daily Show guy.
The
By the
Psychotropic Film Society in Chicago has a whole section on him.
By the way, did you guys know that Jon Stewart actually went to William and Mary in Virginia, and like in my hometown, and
Yeah.
played soccer for the soccer team? And I think if my dad still has any of the old video cassettes that my dad used to videotape the games there, he might have gotten some of old Jon
That's funny.
Stewart shots.
The point
Uh,
is, David the Rock Nelson is a little out there, but this is what he does because this is all he can do. It's
yeah,
all
Gotcha.
burning up inside of him, and he has to make these movies.
it's the big
What else is he going to do? He has to do it, so he's doing it.
it's the big difference between this movie that we just watched, where they had money and they had time and they had all these resources and they just really didn't utilize them as much, as opposed to a guy who doesn't and just doesn't,
And
he
there's
just,
no formula at all.
yeah,
Trust
there's
me.
no, yeah, you can't say like if you've seen a David the Rock Nelson movie, you've
They're not
seen.
like anything else.
Yeah, you haven't seen them all. If you've seen one of Ice Twisters, you've seen them all,
Yeah.
similar movies. Though this movie, like where Miss Werewolf is different than Conrad Brooks versus the Werewolf, or different than any of his other movies that Dave the Rock Nelson does, because he just he just goes, okay, I've got an idea, I'm gonna just go shoot. Uh his parents walked in at one point or something, and he just left it in there. Like a scene where his parents walk in and just they're probably like, what is he doing now? And he was like, he's a 40,
You're
50,
filming us now, yes.
50 or 60-year-old man like living with his parents. They were just like, yeah,
And
whatever.
you don't think that he just leaves it in just for comedy?
I mean,
No,
yes
no,
and no. I mean, he knows it's comedy, but I just think he's obsessed with just shooting everything and filling up that tape.
maybe I don't know. We gotta interview him if we can. We gotta
Yes.
find out his like what makes him tick, and
We have to
how.
go there because he won't fly. He's worse than I am.
Well, we don't do his. Can he do Zoom? Does he not have the technology to do Zoom?
He can barely work a cell phone.
Okay.
No, you have to go there.
Where's that? Illinois or something?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, I don't. We could go see Sam, and then make a trip out
Dude,
of it.
I would make that trip for David the Rock Nelson.
We were hoping that we could figure out how to get an interview with Neil Breen when we went
Mhm.
out to Las Vegas and stuff, and we still didn't go see all the spots, like all that. We should have done that.
I
I'm
know.
kicking myself for that, but next time. Um, hopefully we'll be able to get out there, but I don't know if I want to drive all the way out to Las Vegas again. Um, anyway, thank you, Shannon, once again. We really appreciate having you on the show. You're wonderful. You had some great insights into everything here, so you're definitely welcome back. Next time it'll be Paul's pick.
Okay.
So
And hey,
just
you never know. If you find yourself down in our corner of the world, you're not that far away down here in Hampton.
oh
We at Fort Monroe, we have our studio. Come on down, let us know.
Okay.
yeah, we were already talking about working with her on some stuff, so
Okay, good.
yeah. Well, no, I can't say what yet or anything, but there's a project to brewing. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, Shannon. So you're like, wait, I'm so confused. What?
Is
I
it
am confused right now.
Cow Twisters?
Well, no, I can't say anything, so I'll talk about it after. But yeah. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for checking in and listening to us gab about Ice Twisters. If you've seen the movie, let us know your thoughts on it and everything. And also, please feel free to share this and let people know about it. So
And
until
we're
then,
on
everybody,
Patreon. Don't forget that.
we also have a Patreon. We should still have a Patreon in February. So Patreon has changed things because now Apple wants the Apple App Store or whatever. They are charging Patreon for letting them use their thing. So
Oh,
that's
boo.
taking out of our money too, which kind of sucks. But I got our first thing from that and it didn't seem much different. So it seemed like maybe a few cents. So I don't think they're charging a lot, or whatever. But aside from that, we really appreciate everybody checking this stuff out. Check our Patreon out at patreon.com/indie film cafe or indiefilmcafe.reviews, where we've got all the links on there, or indiefilmcafe.podbean.com, where this should be like uploaded.
And
So
our Patreon show does have stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else.
we do podcasts where some podcasts are like regular Indie Film Cafe podcasts, except we don't have a third person generally. So we just we don't do the stinkometer on it. But aside from that, we do reviews of things that we just don't feel like reviewing on this show, or
Or
whatever
sometimes we'll have a special guest.
sometimes. And then we'll review their movies
Mhm.
sometimes too. So but with that, maybe we'll do that with one of yours at some point, Shannon. We'll
Yeah,
review one of yours
absolutely.
on
That would
there
be a lot
and
of
you can
fun.
talk about the making of it. Um, so yeah, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this and check back later and we'll be back. I think next one is Paul's. So you'll hear one of Paul's. Until then, everybody, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.